Why MS, PhD, whatever in the US? Why? Why in the US? Okay, we're not talking about why do higher studies at all in the first place. That's a very different conversation. But today we're going to talk about why the US is a preferred destination for higher studies. Okay, a few facts about higher studies in the US. First, US universities are unquestionably the best in the world for master's and PhD programs. Why do I say unquestionably the best in the world? Now, every country has top-notch universities. Okay, you have your set of universities under the Cambridge and Oxford locations in the UK. You have your in US and Nanyang in Singapore. You have your École, Polytechnique in France. I mean, every country does boast of top universities. What is peculiar to the US? Okay, is in any audience, if I were to ask students, can you name top 10 universities in the world? And people just start rattling off names: Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Yale, Caltech, Princeton, Cornell, Johns Hopkins, Duke, UPenn. The list just goes on. Berkeley, right? It just keeps going on. And before you know it, you've rattled off at least 10 or 15 universities in the US. And when I ask students, okay, now can you name 10 top equally world-famous universities in, say, the UK or Australia or France? And they're all able to name 2 or 3 universities that are equally world-famous, but it's hard to get more than that. Okay, I'm not putting down any country's program. I think all of the universities are good. But what is peculiar and very, very special to the US is, of the world's top 500 universities, the USA, just one country alone, has 168 universities. That is like 1/3 of the world's top 500 universities. And 17 of the top 20 universities are in the US. And I will share with you the sources from where these statistics have been put out. Okay. So the sheer density of world-class universities in one country obviously creates an environment, an ecosystem that extends beyond the university campuses, which is very high class. So, you could join a top organization in the US, and it's no surprise that so many world-class companies have been headquartered in the US. The Silicon Valley is a perfect example of an enriching, mutually beneficial relationship between universities like Stanford and Berkeley on the one hand, and a host of companies which have been startups in the US, in and around the area. So when you have when you have a huge chunk of the world's best universities located in one country, it leads to a lot of collaboration. Your colleagues will be from, similar environments, and everybody aspires to do the world-class work, okay, that their university, is famous for. So this is one reason why the US is a preferred destination. The UN assigned an education index of 99.9 to the US, ranking it #1 in the world. The US is extremely diverse, ethnically, socially. You'll meet a lot of different people from different backgrounds, and that kind of exposure does broaden, your horizons and helps refine you as a person. Graduating from an accredited American school and being exposed to the rigors of the American education system is no doubt an investment in your future. Let me explain what I mean by the rigors of the American education system. For example, you are likely to have exams where, let's say you join a US university, then you're very unlikely to have exams where you have to mug things up. Okay, you will be, problems will be conceptual. There'll be a lot of practical stuff. There'll be projects. I've had final exams which are take-home exams. So you can actually take the exam home for 24 hours, go wherever you want, and then come and submit the answer paper the next day. Okay. The funny part is there's no place on the internet, there's nothing, no source that can help you get the answers unless you have understood the concepts yourself. So these are, this is what I mean by the academic rigor. Okay. And all of this, whatever I said was about the universities themselves. What about the job opportunities? It's fantastic, right? The number of world-class companies, Forbes, companies, and everything that's the top companies that have originated in the US are just too many. Okay, how many companies, world famous companies whose products we use, Google, Microsoft, Intel, HP, they have all just started in the US. Okay, and Apple, so many companies, right? So great job opportunities, exposure to world-class knowledge, and these are some of these sources from where we have collated this information. Okay, so I presume that because you're attending this webinar, you are already, you have already invested into the idea of doing your master's in the US. Okay, so my job is not to convince you why US, but I'm trying to validate and bolster your decision that the US is the right destination for your higher studies. Okay, so if you have, if you're just exploring the US, or if you've decided, no, I'm going to do my master's in the US, I hope I've given you the kind of information that you need to validate the decision that you're taking for your future. Okay, so the US government also heavily invests in its universities. These are some numbers that will blow your mind. Every year, the US government, every year, apportions 40 billion US dollars every year for its universities. And of this 40 billion US dollars, just 10 universities gather more than 1/5, which is more than $8 billion every year for their research. Just to put in perspective, $8 billion is rupees 54,000 crores approximately for just these 10 universities from the US government every single year. And this is just to do research. So if you were to go to the US, think of the kinds of labs and infrastructure and the quality people that you will find, right? Because the government does pay them to do quality research. And if you were to get a research assistantship, you might be funded from some of these grants, right? So, so this is a reason, you have to understand the commitment of the American government towards its universities. And when I say that these funds go towards research, they actually go towards research, okay? They go towards quality projects, and it all goes where it's supposed to go. Okay, just in case you have any other ideas, I'm just telling you, no, it doesn't work that way. Okay, and what about after your MS or PhD? Students who attend good schools in the US do find very good job opportunities, and many of them go on to become CXOs in companies. I'm sure these people need no introduction from me. Very proud to see a lot of Indian faces, and you will find that these are all everyday people, but they decided to do. They were ambitious, they wanted to make an impact, and they used the education opportunity that they received to chart career paths that allowed them to make the kind of impact that they wanted to. Okay, so what about starting salaries after MS in the US? I'm just going to show you average salaries, and people who go to good schools or good programs, it can be much higher. These are some of the average annual salaries that you get. So again, the decision to do your master's in the US, I think it's a slam dunk decision. So let us move on to what you have to do your master's there. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about the why US anymore.